Hey, this is Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses, and you're watching GNR Central. Yeah!
Hey everybody, what's going on, and welcome to GNR Central. Hope you guys are having a good day today. So let's get started with some of the news that I need to catch up on from a couple weeks ago. So Today.com did an interview with the actor Rose Byrne, who maybe you guys know from the movie Neighbors and Neighbors 2. At least that's where I know her from. So the reporter was asking her some questions about the movie. She also talked about having a celebrity fixation, and the reporter, whose name is Donna Friedkin, admitted in one of the questions, she said, back in Burns' movie, my celebrity fixation for decades was W. Axl Rose, whom I once chased through a hotel, as an adult no less, after spotting him in the lobby. She went on to ask Rose Byrne if she had a celebrity fixation. She said when she was growing up, it was Kylie Minogue. Now, I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but back in 1995, when Slash was promoting the first Snake Pit album, he was interviewed by Kylie Minogue on some program, I think in the UK. And you could tell there was some chemistry between Slash and Minogue, and who knows if there's any kind of history between the two of them, but I just thought I'd throw in a little tidbit for you guys. Turning now to a story we covered yesterday. Now, there was a follow-up story to Duff McKagan playing the Johnny Ramone tribute. So he was joined by Green Day's Billie Joe Armstrong, Fred Armisen, who I just can't stand. I don't even know why he's in this group of people. I know he used to play in some punk rock bands growing up. Steve Jones of the Sex Pistols. And they took some photos. I guess Fred Armisen's got his grave already picked out, and his grave is pretty close to Chris Cornell's grave. And this is a photo they took at Fred Armisen's gravesite. And some people online thought it was a bit tasteless because Chris Cornell's gravesite's just like a few plots over. Now, this is one of the strangest stories related to Guns N' Roses that's come out over the past little bit. So there was a music executive who worked with Guns N' Roses named Gregory Elric. Hopefully I'm saying his name right. And according to page 6 in the New York Post, this guy, Gregory Elric, was responsible for introducing President Donald Trump to his former lawyer, Michael Cohen. So according to the page 6 gossip column, a music executive called Gregory Elric, who worked with Guns N' Roses, introduced President Donald Trump to his future lawyer, Michael Cohen. Apparently, Elric co-owned a company called Hollywood Rose Music and claimed in 1998 that Rose's former bandmate Chris Webber co-wrote 2 songs that he's not credited for, including Shadow of Your Love and Back Off Bitch. So that's the only relation I could find between him and Guns N' Roses, but maybe he did some stuff behind the scenes. But according to the article, before he met Donald Trump, Michael Cohen was a nobody who shared an office with his brother that was so small that it could only fit one desk, sources said. You had to leave the room to change your mind, said Elric, the former executive who introduced Cohen to Trump in 2004. Cohen and his brother Brian had an office in the Fifth Avenue headquarters of Bruce Winston Gem Corporation, the jewelry business of one of the sons of Harry Winston. Elric, who worked with Guns N' Roses, Marky Mark, and George Michael, and Cohen wanted to buy an apartment in Trump Park Avenue, so Elric introduced him to Trump. He always wanted to be a big shot, a mogul. He always wanted to wear a pinky ring, Elric said. He liked being called Trump's fixer. Cohen isn't even a Republican, Elric said. After Cohen donated to the campaign of Patrick Kennedy, Elric brought him to a clam bake at the Kennedy compound in Cape Cod, where he was thrilled to meet Hillary Clinton. Michael loved celebrities, Elric said, and Trump was the biggest celebrity he'd ever met. So we've got some good news for Guns N' Roses. So the New Zealand Herald published an article about the top 50 best-selling albums of all time in the United States. And of course, on that list was Guns N' Roses' debut album, Appetite for Destruction. It made number 13 on the list. Now, there were some real surprises on the list that I was shocked to see. So Matchbox 20, who were big in the late 90s and early 2000s, they were on the list as well. Matchbox 20 took the number 49 spot. Kenny G even made it on the list, and even Kenny Rogers as well. So the number one album on the list, which kind of surprised me, was the Eagles' Greatest Hits album. So it wasn't even like a new album, it was just a compilation album. So that one is certified 36 million units. Michael Jackson's Thriller was number 2 with 33 million units. Number 3 was taken again by the Eagles with Hotel California. Number 20, that sold 26 million units. Number 4 was Billy Joel, his Greatest Hits, Volume 1 and 2. At 23 million, and then Led Zeppelin took the 5th spot with Led Zeppelin 4 with 23 million units. So looking at Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction, according to that, it sold 18 million units in the US. It was just behind the Beatles' self-titled album, which sold 19 million units. Now let's look at who else outsold Guns N' Roses. This one blew my mind. Hootie and the Blowfish outsold Appetite for Destruction with 21 million units with Cracked Rear View. album. And then, Back in Black, which sold 22 million. Pink Floyd outsold Guns N' Roses. Garth Brooks outsold them as well. So if you guys want to see the full list, I've linked to it down below. There definitely are some surprises on it. And even Santana made the list too at number 27. So let's go on to our next piece of news. We've also got an update on the Izzy Stradlin petition. So if you guys remember a couple weeks ago, we talked about how there was this fan who started this petition to get Izzy to perform live again, not necessarily in a Guns N' Roses setting. It could be even just Izzy performing his solo stuff, whether it's in person or over a live web broadcast. So the petition to date has over 1,700 signatures. I'm actually kind of surprised it doesn't have more signatures considering how many Izzy fans are out there. So they're trying to reach 2,500. If you guys want to go sign it, which I encourage you guys to do, go check out the link below. We've also got a rare photo that I haven't seen before that Steven Adler posted from the late 90s of him with his wife Carolina and Izzy Stradlin. Now, this one was one of the scariest news stories I've seen. So Slash is making journalists sign a surprising contract before interviews. At least some journalists he's making them sign. So according to the Classic Rock magazine interview that Slash did, the writer revealed that he had to sign a pretty scary contract. So basically, the writer wrote in the article itself, he said, "There are people who are worried about our conversation. Before I can speak to Slash, I have to sign a contract that says if anything goes wrong, if any kind of stuff hits the fan because of what I write, and GNR lose money, then Classic Rock carries a can. This is no small thing when you're dealing with the fourth biggest earning tour of all time. So there's paranoia around, and the Not in This Lifetime tour took a lifetime to put together, and no one wants to be the one to mess it up. You might not have noticed, but Guns N' Roses haven't really talked to anyone since they reformed. They haven't done an interview. Slash has been doing press lately, of course, to promote his Living the Dream album. And I got to say, if we ever got the chance to interview Slash, I don't think I would sign any kind of contract like this. Like, if Guns N' Roses don't like you for whatever reason, they can come after you with ridiculous claims. I mean, as somebody who sort of deals a little bit with contract law, like, some of the claims that people put against you or even just put in, it can be ridiculous. Especially if they don't like you, they have an endless supply of lawyers who can come after you. So I hope this isn't the case with all his future interviews he's doing. I mean, I can understand wanting to protect yourself. It seemed like Slash was pissed off about the Rolling Stone interview that came out recently because he said the guy from Rolling Stone wanted to talk about Guns N' Roses and his divorce, and it wasn't stuff he wanted to talk about, which is understandable. But I think it just makes more sense for a publicist to, like, which I've heard before, telling the interviewer, like, hey, you can't ask this, you can't ask that. I mean, having gone through that ourselves with some of the interviews we've done, it's pretty easy to steer clear from certain topics. And it kind of reminds me of the old, back in the Use Your Illusion days, Guns N' Roses were always at war with the press. There was that infamous contract that I think it was Spin Magazine leaked where Guns N' Roses basically told journalists, like, if you want to interview us, then we have complete control over what you write and we have the final say on everything, like even the photos. And I remember Bob Guccione published that contract and asked fans to send it in to Guns N' Roses, which they did. Like 10,000 fans signed that contract, sent it to Guns N' Roses. Axl was pissed, and it kind of made them look really bad as like a band wanting to control the media. But I don't know why they just can't get journalists to sign an article like that or a contract like that, rather than telling you, okay, you're going to be liable for any kind of damages that result as a result of what you write. So we also had Duff McKagan, who's become sort of a t-shirt aficionado lately, if you guys have seen his website. He sells a lot of his t-shirts he wears on stage, and he had a new loaded one that with proceeds going to charity. So this one was only good until September 7th, but it was all proceeds were going to go to the REST charity, which for you guys who don't know. So the charity, there's two charities with the same name, but I'm assuming this is the one that Duff's been supporting. So if you guys go to iwantrest.com, it's a charity that seems to stop the sex trade that's going on in Seattle. I didn't realize how bad it was, but on their website they say on any given night in Seattle, hundreds will be sold for sex. And their goal is simple: freedom, safety, and hope to women and girls exploited by the sex trade. So apparently it focuses on Seattle and the greater King County area. So it's a good cause that Duff's supporting, and the website's down below as well. And they even have a hotline for anybody who's involved with this trade and wants to get out of it or needs help. So ending on a bit of a lighter note, this is the Consulate Hotel that Guns N' Roses stayed at in Reykjavik, Iceland. So the Daily Mirror published an article about their trip. One of their journalists went to Reykjavik, and he had a little blurb about staying at the same hotel as Guns N' Roses are. And if you guys look at some of the reviews, this is a beautiful hotel. I think I looked online, it was like $400 to $500 a night, which is not too bad considering like how expensive Iceland is typically. So that does it for this week's news, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm still catching up on the last couple weeks of news, so make sure you guys hit subscribe if you love our channel, and go support us on patreon.com if you want to get exclusive stuff from our channel, like behind the scenes, true story episodes before everyone else does, and exclusives on what's going on behind the scenes as well.
What's going on? It's Alex Cross from Hookers and Blow, and you're watching GNR Central.
Right on.